Senior Assisted Living Industry by Matt Woodward, Jackson Young, Jonah Traver, Ian Turnbull, and Thomas Voutsinas. Executive summary. So, the senior assisted living industry is driven primarily by demographic demand, particularly the aging baby boomer population. The U.S. market is currently valued around $44.38 billion and is projected to grow steadily over the next decade as the 75 plus population expands significantly. However, while demand fundamentals are strong, profitability is under pressure due to labor shortages, rising wages, regulatory oversight, and capital costs. So, our three key takeaways are: long term demand is structurally strong, labor is the primary strategic constraint, scale and operation efficiency are becoming critical competitive advantages. So, industry, history, and evolution. The industry evolved from basic retirement housing into a hybrid housing healthcare model. Early operators focused primarily on independent living communities, but over time, services expanded to include daily assistance, memory care, and specialized medical coordination. Major early players like Brookdale and Sunrise professionalized the model and expanded nationally. Innovation has increased focus on care specialization, especially memory care, and the integration of technology, including electronic health records and telehealth capabilities. Today's model blends hospitality, healthcare, and real estate into one. Industry life cycle and market size. The industry is in a late growth or early maturity stage. The demand growth is steady and predictable, but competitive pressures are increasing. The US represents the largest global market due to the demographic size and private pay structures. Growth over the next 10 to 15 years will be largely demographic driven as the population over 75 is expected to increase dramatically. So while demand fundamentals are strong, growth is constrained by staffing and capital availability.
For our pestle analysis, uh, we have a couple different things. First, we said political. We said Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement policy, state level regulations, and staffing mandates. For economic, we said interest rates impact development financing, consumer ability to private pay, and inflation. Some examples include utilities or wages increasing. For social, we said aging baby boomers, increased life expectancy, and preference for aging in place. For technological, we said telehealth, AI monitoring, electric health records. For legal, we said liability exposure, other abuse laws, and compliance audits. And lastly, for environmental, we said facility safety standards, energy efficiency costs, and location. For our Porter's Five Forces analysis, first we went over the competitive rivalry. We thought that was high. We have many regional operators. There's consolidation underway, and differentiation is limited. For threat of new entrants, we said low to moderate. It's because of high capital requirement, regulatory approvals required, and real estate barriers. For buyer power, we said moderate to high. This is because family can compare pricing online. Private pay is dominant and it is very sensitive to monthly costs. For supplier power, we said high. Labor is really the biggest cost. There's many staffing shortages and there is a very big wage inflation going on. Lastly, for threat of substitutes, we decided to say moderate. This is because of aging at home health care, and family caregiving.
Hello, my name is Ian Turnbull, and I will be doing the SWOT analysis and competitor analysis. The strengths are recurring monthly revenue from resident fees, large demand and necessity for assisted living due to the baby boomer aging population, and providing essential services to those in need. Weaknesses are high labor costs and shortage of willing staff, high liability risk due to patients at constant medical risk, and reputation vulnerability. Opportunities are partnerships with hospitals that can recommend patients to these facilities, and they can evolve the middle class affordable care options to expand their market. They could also specialize in memory care, to help those who have who are losing their minds. Um, Threats are home health care becoming more easily accessible and affordable, increasing insurance costs with inflation, and workforce shortages make causing less people to work in these facilities. Competitor analysis. Large national chains have a very large target market with all income levels. Their strengths are they have great brand recognition, and they have a ton of easily accessible funds with huge facilities with great amenities. Weaknesses, the care is not as personalized as they run on a large scale. Luxury care facilities target high income individuals and their strengths are high staff to patient ratios with great amenities, keeping patients entertained and happy. Weaknesses are it's very high cost and they have a very limited customer base. Home care services target seniors who prefer to stay home in their later years in the comfort of their own home. Their strength is that it's fairly low cost, and as a patient's age, they get to stay in the comfort of their own home. And the weakness is it's not necessarily 24/7 round the clock care, and they don't have the medical facilities in place if something goes wrong.
Performance assessment. Our financial performance, the US market has valued at 44.4 billion in 2024. It's projected to reach 93.5 billion by 2033 and it's growing at roughly 8 to 9% annually. The market share and structure, 32,000 plus communities inside the United States. In this industry, there's so many different companies. No single company controls most of the market. Some of the largest operators inside the industry include Sunrise Senior Living, Ar- Atria, and Brookdale. Profitability and risk, boosting revenue associated with occupancy rates improving, large labor expenses, staffing shortages cause margins to be pressured, and high fixed costs endured and real estate plus operations. The industry trends and driving forces, the demographic expansion, rapid growth of 75 plus and 80 plus population. Baby boomers are entering the high care age years, and long-term structural demand increases. Labor market pressures, ongoing caregiver and nurse shortages, rising wages impacting margins, and high turnover across facility. Shift towards healthcare integration. Growth in memory care units, increased medical coordination, and more clinical services offered on site. Technology and adoption. Telehealth services are expanding. They have electronic health records, and there's AI monitoring and remote health tracking. Consumer preference shifts. Demand for higher end amenities, increased personalization of care, and growing preference for aging at home. And there's capital and regulatory environment. There's high development cost, interest rates impact on financing, and strict state level regulations.
Now I'm going to talk about the main strategic issues in senior assisted living. The biggest issue right now is labor shortages and rising wages costs. There aren't enough nurses and caregivers, and a lot of employees leave quickly. Because of that, companies have to raise wages, which cuts into profits. Another big issue is regulation. Assisted living facilities have to follow a lot of state and federal rules, and if they mess up, they can face lawsuits or heavy fines, which increases costs even more. Um, Occupancy and pricing is also a challenge. Even though the industry has recovered from COVID, some places still struggle to fill rooms. At the same time, many middle income seniors are price sensitive, so companies can't just keep raising prices. Finally, expectations are changing. Seniors today expect nicer facilities, better food, more amenities, and stronger memory care services. So basically, demand is strong because the population is aging, but profits are under pressure from labor, regulation, and rising costs. To deal with these problems, we suggest four main strategies. First, companies need to focus on their workers. They should try to improve retention, offer better training, and create career paths so employees stay longer. Using technology can also reduce workload. Second, they should focus on differentiation. Instead of just competing just on price, facilities can offer specialized services like memory care and premium options to stand out. Third, technology is important. Things like remote monitoring systems and AI scheduling can make operations more efficient and improve care. Finally, companies need to keep occupancy high. They can do this by building relationships with hospital, marketing to adult children who help make decisions, and offering flexible pricing options. Overall, the best strategy is to focus on quality and specialization instead of trying to be the cheapest option.
Board takeaway. The senior assisted living industry is growing quickly with strong demand and improving occupancy levels. However, long term success will be dependent on keeping occupancy high and managing high rising labor costs. This industry's market will continue to be very competitive and fragmented. This is our works cited page.